Hey, this is Jason Kleberg from the Force 5 podcast, a show that forces a guest to come up with a movie-themed top 5 list topic, and then we reveal our picks on air. Top 5 heist films, top 5 tearjerkers, top 5 movie dogs. Every show you'll be asking yourself, what would be on my list? Guests include directors, screenwriters, actors, podcasters, musicians, authors, and even a professional wrestler. Subscribe to the Force 5 podcast, and you won't just be a listener, you'll be a list nerd. The Force 5 podcast, available wherever you're listening now.
Do you love movies? So do I. What's up, y'all? It's KB, and I love movies, inviting you to listen to The Conversation, a film podcast where passion meets perspective and opinion. From the old school to the new, I invite a guest on to discuss the movies that thrill us, challenge us, break our hearts, or even blow our minds. There's always new episodes dropping wherever you get your podcasts. So join the conversation. We don't just watch movies. We love talking about them too. The Conversation with KB Loves Movies, a part of Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
You got demons.
Welcome to Wake Up Heavy, my weird dad's weird podcast about weird movies.
Hello and welcome to Wake Up Heavy Recollections of Horror. Why Didn't I Rent This? Volume 2, Episode 3. And this will be the last episode in this volume. I will keep it and the Let's Scare Jessica to Death episode up until I start Volume 3, which could be at any given time, knowing me, sometime in the next couple of weeks, probably. And I just realized as I started this that someone in my neighborhood is doing yard work, so that sound may creep into the background here. Just ignore it like you do all the other funky noises in my podcast. And this episode is on the 1987 movie from, let's see if I can get this name even close to approximately correct. Tibor That
doesn't sound right.
Takacs, Takacs, and I am sure I am mispronouncing that. Let's see where he is from. Budapest, Hungary. I'm not up on my Hungarian. Apologies in advance and in the future to this guy if he happens to ever listen to this episode. He directed a couple of interesting movies. Oh, actually, I'm confusing this already. I'm already making mistakes, people.
That's weird.
The next movie after The Gate was I, Madman, and I absolutely confused that with the very similarly named Madman, which is an interesting slasher picture. I don't know if I've ever seen I, Madman, but it looks like he's done mostly TV movies and TV shows. The Gate stars Stephen Dorff, who has kind of hit a little revival crest here with the third season of True Detective. He is very good in that, and he's very good in The Gate. Krista Denton as Al, his sister.
Quit calling me Al. My name is Alexandra.
Who looks like she stopped working in 1992. She only has, 17 credits I'm seeing, mostly in TV. And Louis Tripp as Terry. And again, not a long career, only has 8 acting credits. He was in the sequel to The Gate, which I have not seen, and he was in Detroit Rock City, which I also have not seen. And then we also have Kelly Rowan, who plays one of the twins, Lori and Linda Lee. She plays Lori, and we're bringing it back to the episode on The Invitation because, of course, she was in The OC as, what's his name's mom? I can't remember. Or no, they're not his parents. They just house that creepy little kid. I don't know why I can't, and he's not a creepy kid, but whatever, homeless or, I don't know why I can't remember his name, but he's married to that gorgeous actress that's in Deadpool, and I can't remember her name either. I'm shit for remembering things, people. I don't know what's going on.
That does sound right.
There is a passageway to the most evil place you can imagine. A gate behind which the demons wait to take back what was once theirs. And now, someone has opened the gate.
There's this weird tearing sound there. The decomposed corpse of her dead father.
Oh no.
He's tearing out air by the hands.
I'm calling the police.
You got demons.
I mean, you guys are serious about that demon stuff? Demons? What kind? Dad!
You've been bad!
They have opened the gate. Pray it's not too late.
This is kind of the epitome of the Why Didn't I Rent This series, and one of the movies that I actually thought of, and I probably mentioned at some point in one of the episodes. I purposefully did not rent this movie, and I'm kind of ticked off at myself that I never did, because I have a feeling I really, really, really would have enjoyed it. I think the reason I didn't rent it is that I thought it was more akin to the Gremlins ripoffs that were coming out in the late 80s, such as Ghoulies, Munchies, what are a couple of the other ones? Movies with little critters in them. Oh, critters. Hey, thanks, Brain. Not to bash those movies, because I actually haven't seen any of those, and that's kind of why I think I don't know if I felt beholden to Gremlins and didn't want to see anything that I thought was a ripoff. But I remember seeing the little creatures in this movie and figuring that's what we've got. We've got little creatures that have been let loose. Oh no, problems asunder, spoofy horror comedy type of thing. And that is not it at all. And it's actually more akin to, this is my pull quote. If anybody wants to ever use this for the next fancy Blu-ray edition, it's The Evil Dead for kids. If that had been the commercial, I would have seen this movie. I mean, we have a virtual Book of the Dead in this, like Evil Dead. We have demons being summoned through rituals like Evil Dead. We almost have a cabin in the woods feel with these three kids left on their own because Stevie Dorff and his sister, I just forgot his name in the movie, his sister Al.
My name is Alexandra.
Their parents are out of town, and Terry's mother has passed away recently, and his dad is always away on business. So they are left on their own, and it's that isolated cabin in the woods type feel. But the other strong connection that I feel is with, and this is kind of providential because today happens to be the 40th anniversary of the release of this film. But the last time I watched it, I really felt a connection with Phantasm. The main reason being is that this movie gets kids the way Phantasm got kids. It's not pandering, it's not... and this is another comparison that I've made in the past, where Monster Squad is geared at kids, but it felt to me very forced and disingenuous in Monster Squad. And I've kind of discovered that I'm not a huge fan of Fred Dekker or Shane Black, so that may be the problem with it. It's, they have their style, and of course, their latest collaboration was The Predator. And it seems like the problems that that movie had with script and direction and stuff is sort of the same way I feel about Monster Squad. So, we all have, there are tons of people out there that love Monster Squad. I'm not trying to shit in your cornflakes or anything, but it just doesn't work for me the way The Gate does. There is some funky, funny dialogue in The Gate.
Eat your feet, dwarf.
Stuck my nose till my head caves in.
But it's not one-liner after one-liner or that quirky, quippy stuff that Shane Black is kind of known for. In The Gate, you have very 80s homophobic slurs that just kind of fly out of these kids' mouths. But it's the dreamlike quality of the film that reminds me of Phantasm, and we actually open on a dream sequence, and it's very eerie, it's really creepy, it's very realistic as a dream set. Walking into your house, it's completely... And I've had dreams like this, and I even kind of touched on this on The Little Girl Who Lives Down the Lane, about having sort of waking dreams or waking up and feeling this way, searching through the house and no one else is there. There's a full meal on the table. Then it kind of leads into this thing about this big tree in their backyard being struck by lightning. And then he wakes up. Glenn is Stephen Dorff's name in the movie. He wakes up and sees people outside cutting down the tree. So that didn't actually happen. I think it's just an old rotted tree that they're removing. But even throughout the rest of the movie, a lot of the scenes have a misty, kind of that gauzy look, dreamlike look. And then the characters do have other dreams in the movie. Terry has a dream, and maybe they aren't dreams, but they're shot like dreams. They are aspects of their fears that sort of come to life, like what happens in dreams. And there are a number of instances like that, and those are the very effective parts of the movie, actually, as a horror movie. The thing with the tree is basically what sets all of this in motion. Glenn goes out, starts investigating the hole. He finds a geode that's been split open and shows his friend Terry, and they decide to excavate for more geodes because they can get a lot of money for them.
You know how much you can get for a big one? $100.
While they're exploring, the hole opens up wide and sulfurous gas comes out. They spend a little while trying to open it up, and when they finally do, more gas pours out, and it makes an impression on this little pad that they have. And it's not an Etch-a-Sketch. I don't know what they're called, but it's the same sort of idea. You probably had one as a kid. It's a little kind of thin piece of vellum, and underneath is, I'm not sure what's underneath, some kind of magnetic strip, and you can write on it and then make it go away. So it imprints some words on there.
Aka, Kuto, Ala, Ita.
And again, this is very much like Evil Dead.
Thunder, Estrata, Mantos.
And this is all going on while Al, Glenn's sister, has thrown a party, of course, against their parents' wishes. All her high school pals are over there. And as happens, especially in the 80s and in 80s horror movies, they tell some spooky stories, and then they want to levitate someone. And I guess this is kind of like that, what is that? Light as a feather. I'm not sure what the second part of that phrase is. They do it in The Craft. So this is sort of kind of seance scene, which we all know I love in movies. And they try it with one of the older kids and it doesn't work. And then they try it with Glenn, and he floats up to their vaulted ceiling and knocks a light out and stuff. And we find out later all these things that happen. The levitation, the recitation, the geode, and a couple other plot points that I won't give away has all caused this summoning of the demons. And we know this because of a heavy metal album that Terry has. And this is, like I say, the connection with Evil Dead. This is the Book of the Dead. I think that's even what it's called.
They got their lyrics from this thing called the Dark Book.
This heavy metal group from, I'm not going to remember where.
They're called Sacrifice. My dad brought it from Europe, and it's got all this stuff in it.
And this supplies our exposition dump in the film. This is where we get the rules and the mythology for the movie, and they adhere to it and stick to it.
There are these songs that tell you about the whole ritual for opening the gate. We did it. It's all in here. The hole. Okay. The geode. And look at this. The levitation.
Which I actually, as an older person, appreciate. I don't know if as a kid I would have kind of understood that. It seems more, it's kind of fortuitous that Terry just happens to have this album, the one album released by this band before they all perished, and his dad brought it over from Sweden or Switzerland or whatever country I just referenced earlier.
My dad brought it from Europe.
And so all this conspires to summon the demons, but there's other things that happen in the movie that give it that horror feel. As I mentioned, Terry's mom passed away recently. He sees her in what appears to be a dream. They embrace, and then he's holding the family dog, and it's dead. That dog ends up in the hole in the ground in the backyard, a little bit convoluted, not convoluted, but I won't get into the details of how that happens. And that's part of the sacrifice to the demons, or the first sacrifice, I think, as the clues suggest. Then we have these are the instances where it's very childlike, where those fears that you had as a child manifest themselves. And it's through this portal, through this hole where these little creatures have emerged, and they mess with their heads. So at one point, when shit is getting kind of crazy, Terry and Al and Glenn try to leave the house, and their parents are there. This whole time, when things, Glenn is sort of not a baby.
You're acting like a baby.
He acts younger than I think his age is supposed to be. And it's hard to gauge. I don't know that they say it in the movie. Stephen Dorff and the kid that plays Terry were actually both 13 years old when this was filmed and 14 when it came out. Neither of them look that old. Stephen Dorff looks like he's about 10. I'm not sure how old they're supposed to be in the film. I'm guessing maybe 12. Or maybe even closer to their real ages. So this whole time when things start creeping Glenn out, he's wanting to call his parents. Keeps saying, we need to call our parents, Al, we need to call our parents. And she's like, no, because they've been left, to take care of themselves. And if they can't do it, then the old neighbor lady's going to have to come and stay with them. And she doesn't want that. Found that part kind of endearing and interesting that he's not playing the tough guy through all of this. He's like, okay, crap is freaking me out. I want my mom and dad. So they show up, and Glenn is super happy, and he starts to give his dad a hug. And then there's this great scene where the father, quote unquote, starts to choke him, and then Glenn puts his fingers through his face, and it is pretty gruesome. A lot of stuff gushes out, and then he starts cackling like crazy, and his head falls off.
Mom! Dad!
You've been...
This is a kid movie. It was made for kids. It's PG-13. It has some scenes like that. At some point, Terry gets kind of sucked into the vortex that the house is turning into. A couple people disappear, like in the walls or in closets at different points. And he comes out as, I guess, like a doppelganger. He's got rat teeth and stuff. And he is attacking Glenn, and Al gouges his eye out with the leg of a Barbie doll, and it's not overly gratuitous, but it's kind of, it's gross. So it's kind of a perfect gateway horror movie, for 12, 13-year-old kids. I'm sure there's plenty of kids younger than that have seen it, but, I always think of my daughter in regards to that, and she's a scaredy cat, so she's probably got a couple years left until she can handle it. The other thing that manifests, and this is one of the best parts of the movie, is this idea of the workman. At some point, Terry tells Glenn a story about Glenn's house being built, and one of the construction workers died on the site, and they just walled him up. And it might not be his house, but this is the basic story. At one point, Glenn sees the walls kind of pushing out, which I always love. That happens in Nightmare on Elm Street. It happens in Repulsion. And then the workman emerges from the wall, and Terry, Glenn, and Al are trying to fight him off. And I think Al throws her boombox, or a boombox, at him, hits him in the head, and he falls over. And the instant he hits the ground, and most people have probably seen this little clip, even if they haven't seen the movie, he hits the ground and instantly turns into a bunch of the little demons. It's a brilliant effect. This is old school stuff, and how they got that cut to look so perfect, I don't know. But once it becomes the little demons, then we're dealing with actual people in rubber suits. The demons are portrayed a number of ways in the movie. There's puppets, there's a little bit of stop motion animation, and there'll be more at the end of the movie. And then there are people in rubber suits. They are running around the ground, and I think the footage is sped up, so it was shot at a slower rate, and then it gives them this herky-jerky movement that's pretty creepy. And Terry, Al, and Glenn are in the room, and they're in the room, and so this was all done with forced perspective. Nowadays, we know of all that because of the Lord of the Rings movies, and it still kind of boggles my mind. I've seen pictures from the set of the creatures, and all the set is, huge, twice as big as the people in the rubber suits, so that you can get that fake look of them being small, and then Terry, Glenn, and Al being huge in the background. Sorry, I just bumped my mic. It works perfectly. And there's a couple other shots, I think in the hole. At one point, Terry falls down the hole, which is a great little simple effect, too, of him sliding down there. And then the demons are kind of nibbling on his feet. And I think it's just a giant foot and men in rubber suits. So really, really cool effects, especially for the time. And who knows what the budget was on this movie, but they really went all out on the effects, and it's very effective. And a quick correction, the album is called The Dark Book, the Necronomicon Light, I guess.
They got their lyrics from this thing called The Dark Book.
It's not the Book of the Dead, but it not only explains how to summon demons, but if you play it in reverse, it explains how to get rid of them. So we have another key element that really works for me in that idea, the whole idea of the satanic panic of the mid to late 80s is kind of kiddified in this as well.
Despite numerous signs that Castle was into Satanism and rock music associated with devil worship, police steadfastly refused to label this case satanic.
So yeah, I wish I could kind of travel back in time and make my stupid self watch this at 18. I think it would have been a long-time favorite. Glad I discovered it now in a way, though, as I can appreciate those little touches and connections to the other films and ideas that I enjoy so much in other horror movies. But I think I would have picked up on a lot of that back then anyway. And who knows? I mean, I don't know why I did. I love the poster art for this. I know I saw it so often. It may have just been that I was kind of moving away from horror. It might not have had anything to do with the whole Gremlins idea, but there were a lot of those movies coming out during those years. So, oh well, you can't go back and change the past. Speaking of that, this will probably come out on my birthday. I'm recording it the day before, but I've got to add all the clips and do the editing, and I doubt I will get that done today. As I mentioned earlier, today, the 28th, is the 40th anniversary of the release of Phantasm, one of my all-time favorite movies. So if you haven't listened to that episode, go back and give her a shot. There's a lot of funny stuff in there from the movie and from me. Okay, up next is the Season 2 premiere on Taxi Driver, which I've been blabbing about for the last 4 or 5 episodes. The interview with Mike White, or not interview, this wasn't an interview, it was a discussion with Mike White is in the can. I just need to edit that and fill in the blanks because we were both a little crunched for time and I left out a whole bunch of stuff and my mind goes blank when I'm in the middle of things. No matter how many notes I jot down and how much research I did, we left a lot of stuff off the table. So it won't be as long as the Eraserhead episode. Even with the interview, I will keep the wraparound stuff to a minimum. And after that, I'm not really sure. I need to get another Patreon episode up. I get ideas for it and then I lose them. I am turning 50 tomorrow, so that is my excuse. Okay, final thoughts on The Gate. Go watch it. It's available somewhere currently, I know. I don't think it's on Shudder anymore, but it has been in the past. It's been on Prime. I think I watched it through Xfinity's on-demand thing, their Stream Picks or whatever it's called, that it hops around from place to place. So I'll just put up the Just Watch link so you can track it that way. All right, thank you very much for listening. This is Why Didn't I Rent This? Volume 2, Episode 3, On the Gate. Don't forget to wake up heavy.